Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. You have joined the Operation BioenergizeME introductory webinar for the Fall 2014 BioenergizeME Challenge Beta Test. Thank you for being here. This webinar is brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy's Bioenergy Technologies Office and staffed by my colleagues Zach Peterson and me, Leslie Oakbard. Next slide. Thank you for your interest in the challenge. This challenge is intended to provide the tools and structure to foster an educational dialogue about how bioenergy can help diversify the American energy portfolio. Bioenergy comes from plant material, or biomass, that has acted as a biological solar collector and gathered energy in chemical form within its cells. Bioenergy has come a long ways since it was used by early humans in the form of fire for heat and light. Next slide. Over time, technologies have been developed to harvest energy from biomass with increasing efficiency in ways that help address environmental concerns. Many of the decisions about how bioenergy will be integrated into the U.S. energy portfolio will be influenced by our young people. Many young people haven't thought much about bioenergy as a viable option for renewable power, sustainable transportation fuel, or production of valuable bioproducts that are currently produced from diminishing fossil-based resources such as petroleum. Operation BioenergizeME is an initiative to 1. Increase access to reliable science-based information about bioenergy, and 2. Provide tools for discerning the bioenergy misinformation that arises in media and conversations. One of the tasks we're asking of our BioenergizeME Challenge beta testers is to help us select the most appropriate name for this challenge. It is a research project on a science-related topic that is displayed in a visually rich infographic format. We believe students will find this format really fun and a great way to learn and share. But it is something new. It's not exactly a science fair. Is it an infographic challenge? Please help us with your suggestions as we proceed. Next slide. One of the goals of this beta run is to provide everything educators need to easily incorporate the challenge into their course curriculums. We are providing a virtual toolkit that includes challenge rules, research prompts, infographic development guidance, and evaluation rubrics. We also are providing a resource library that was put together by the Library of Congress. In the resource library, you'll find research guidance for beginners and a virtual resource library that includes bibliographic information about useful texts and also hot links to help students along their way. We'll also be providing a media campaign guide for those teams whose infographics qualify for a national social media campaign. We also have BioenergizeME staff to answer questions and gather feedback. The challenge and tools provided are intended to help educators add bioenergy as a current affairs topic for interdisciplinary discussions across the curriculum, from applied science courses in environmental studies, biology, and chemistry to humanities courses in art, design, communications, history, and even business. This activity focuses on 2 critical thinking and engagement skills: learning to do rigorous research and using social media strategically for a common good. Next slide. We intend to recognize participants, both educators and students. This will occur through recognition of participants and winners with official letters from DOE leadership. It also includes promotion of winning infographics on our national website. and then recognition of the first place team at a national event. Participation recognition is intended to be useful for students' resumes and college applications, as well as educators' CVs. Next slide. We're going to cover the following in the webinar. We'll go over some introduction and background, including how to participate in the webinar itself, a little bit of overview on the U.S. Energy Department's Bioenergy Technologies Office. We'll show you a little bit of the materials that we're providing for the challenge, including virtual toolkit, talk a little bit about judging and review, and our social media campaign. Then go to a little bit of discussion about how to provide feedback and ask questions as a beta test participant, and then open up the floor to you for webinar question and answer. You'll notice on this slide that there are a couple of examples of infographics. In this challenge, students will present their research findings in the form of an infographic, which we want to talk about a little bit more later. Next slide. Okay, my colleague Zach Peterson has prepared some tips for participating in the webinar. Zach, go ahead. Are you muted, Zach? I can't hear you. Okay, Zach's having a little bit of technical difficulty. Let me just emphasize some of the things that he wanted to bring up. Webinar tips. If you call in using your phone, that's usually the best sound quality. When you're not speaking, please mute your phone. The webinar works best with Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. And then we ask that you would write down or submit questions or comments throughout the webinar, and then we will address them together at the end. If you have any questions that you're struggling getting through the webinar format, please email Zachary Peterson directly. His email address is on the screen. Okay, next slide.
Leslie, are you able to hear me now?
Okay, I can. Go ahead.
Great. Sorry about those technical difficulties there. So Leslie definitely emphasized all the great points there. Also, for some of you, just wanted to emphasize where things are in the webinar screen. So the top image there shows on the right that control panel bar. So if you have any difficulties or you need to send a chat message to the staff, please click that button and it'll open up this, what you see in the bottom, the control panel there. Also, make sure you put in your audio pin so you can see it's highlighted in red in the bottom image. So when we get to the webinar question Q&A, if you don't have the audio pin in, you won't be able to speak. So just make sure you put that in, and then when we get to the Q&A, you'll be able to speak. So like I said, if you do have any questions, feel free to enter them into that chat box there that you see now. And when we get to the webinar Q&A, if you'd like to speak, please click this button with the hand with the arrow over it, and we'll see that you stuck your hand up, and we'll be able to unmute your phone, and we'll be able to hear what you have to say. So that about covers it, and like Leslie said, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. I'm monitoring right now, and if you have any questions that you'd like to send to the chat box, that's fine as well, and we'll get those recorded and towards the end we'll have some time to discuss. Thanks.
Great, thanks, Zach. Okay, to our introduction, providing a little bit of background. The U.S. Energy Department supports the Energy Secretary, who serves the President as part of his advisory cabinet. Within the Energy Department, the BioenergizeME initiative is carried out under the Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy Program Office's Sustainable Transportation area. At the Bioenergy Technologies Office, which we refer to as BETO, or B-E-T-O is the acronym. Through BETO, the Energy Department is supporting pilot and pioneer-scale bioenergy projects across the country. These projects are developing bioenergy products from agricultural and forestry wastes, algae, and other non-food biomass resources. Next slide. I'd like to highlight 2 examples of DOE-supported projects that have reached important milestones this year. In Vero Beach, Florida, Ineos Bio produced cellulosic ethanol that was used in racing fuels for this year's Tudor Championship car racing events, which are sanctioned by NASCAR's International Motorsports Association. Ineos Bio produced the fuel from palm fronds and other vegetative wastes. In Emmetsburg, Iowa, Project Liberty just celebrated its grand opening. Project Liberty is a cooperative effort between the U.S. company Poet and Royal DSM of the Netherlands. Project Liberty will produce cellulosic ethanol and power from corn cobs and other wasted parts of corn plants that can be removed sustainably from the field. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, the BioenergizeME Challenge provides resources and tools to help educators and students add bioenergy as a current affairs topic for interdisciplinary discussions across the curriculum. It is designed for 9th through 12th grade students who research a bioenergy prompt and design a bioenergy-related infographic to report their findings. Bioenergy expert panel selects infographics for publication in a national social media campaign. This national social media campaign is implemented and executed over a specified time period to harness various social media platforms to educate the public on bioenergy. Next slide. This is a 2-part challenge. I just provide a little bit of high-level overview of the challenge structure. In part 1, the teachers provide BioenergizeME tools and resources to teams of 2 to 4 students. The student teams select and research a topic question from provided prompts. Student teams develop an infographic to report their research findings, and then teachers review the infographic using the provided rubric and submit infographics that meet the challenge requirements to BETO. In part 2, BETO's review board evaluates entries for objective, referenced messaging and advances those that qualify for this national social media campaign. Students whose infographics qualify for the social media campaign will receive rules and resources for participation. Next slide. The challenge theme for the beta run is Bioenergy, Building on the Shoulders of Giants. As I alluded to at the onset of this webinar, bioenergy has been part of our energy portfolio for thousands of years, and it's been used in different ways. We are providing research prompts in the virtual toolkit to help students develop this theme and explore how our use of bioenergy has changed over time. So Zach is going to open the virtual toolkit, and we'll just scroll through and I'll highlight a few things in there. Okay, this is the beta version of the virtual toolkit. If we could look at the table of contents. Okay, so these are some of the topics that are covered: an introduction, challenge details, entry rules, information on judging and review, award details, and then if we could move to the, we'll move to the research topics in just a moment. You'll also notice there is a rubric and then the resource library that we spoke of earlier. I'd like to just draw your attention to the research topics and show the interdisciplinary and cross-curricular areas that we've included. If we could go to page 5, Zach. Right there. Okay, so to help develop this theme, bioenergy building on the shoulders of giants, we've included a bioenergy history question that lets them look at how human use of biomass for energy has changed over time and how the efficiency and use of that has stayed the same, how technology might have impacted that. We also have workforce and education questions, a couple of those. Zach, if you'll scroll up just a little bit. One of the things we'd like students to explore is how energy transitions have occurred throughout history as we've moved from predominantly one source to another. And so they can explore some of those changes, and then also what are some of the research and employment opportunities that have accompanied those changes, and in particular, in this case, particularly bioenergy development. So that can help elucidate careers that might be promising for them. The next question. There's lots to learn about in science and technology surrounding sustainable transportation fuels, in particular bioenergy or biofuels. There are technologies to explore ways to harvest the energy from plant material, and so we have listed a number of those. There's also much to understand about the what makes a good bioenergy feedstock and what are some of the feedstocks that are being explored across the United States. Here's a place it's useful to point out that for each prompt we have provided subject headings in addition to keywords, as we found that sometimes a short phrase will be more useful in narrowing down sources when they're researching that come up, sometimes even more so than keywords, and so we've provided some suggestions there. The last question that we have is related to the environmental impacts of using biofuels. Using biofuels is neither good nor bad for the environment. What we are finding is that how they are done makes all the difference of if they're beneficial or not. There are great opportunities. There's also challenges that accompany those. So we've got a few questions that they can explore for environmental impacts, and that includes understanding a little bit about the U.S. Energy Independence and Security Act of 2007 and how it is trying to help grow this biofuels industry in a way that will have positive effects on greenhouse gas reduction, but also be economically viable. Next slide. Oh, sorry, next slide. Again, we want to thank you for your interest in this educational initiative. For those of you participating in the challenge beta, Zach's going to provide some guidance on how you can give us feedback and ask questions. Zach, are you able to get on?
Hi, this is Zach. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Great. So first of all, I just wanted to show you a quick way to get to the Bioenergy Technologies office's website. So probably the quickest way to do that is to Google search Bioenergy Technologies office or just BDO, DOE. From there, the first link. As this loads, so this is the Bioenergy Technologies office's homepage. You can see there's a lot of information on here, And the link to find the Virtual Science Fair page can be found on this left navigation bar. So if you load up the page and come down here to Education and Workforce Development, click there. This brings up all of the resources BETO currently has, and this is a page that's definitely growing very quickly these days. And down here at the bottom of the page, you can see the link to the Virtual Science Fair web page. So click there. And this is the page that we have shown in the slides here. So again, if you see here, you can see the Education Workforce Development found on the left, and then the very bottom, you click that link, and that'll take you to our page. You can see in this red square at the top here, that's the link if you'd rather just type that in there. But if you do have feedback, questions, comments, anything really that can help us make this challenge better, as you can see in this bottom box, our emails are right here, so feel free to send us an email at any time. And if you could just please include your name, your email, the school or organization you're with, and the location, as in city, state, and zip code. So we don't need the exact location, but those three are pretty crucial. And then finally, the nature of your question, comment, or concern. So as far as the webinar Q&A,
thanks, Zach.
Go ahead, Leslie.
Oh, I was just going to say that we'll open up the floor to our webinar participants, and Zach is going to facilitate the question and answer portion.
Right. So just wanted to give you another reminder here. If you are muted on your phone and you have a question, please unmute yourself on your own phone. If you do have a question, please click this red button or this button in the red square here to raise your hand, and we'll be able to see that on our side, and we'll be able to unmute you on our side. And if you have a question you'd rather ask to the chat box, that's fine as well. So if you could just type it in here, our organizers will be able to see that and open up the question for the whole floor. So we do have a couple of questions here right now, Leslie.
Okay.
Someone asked if the team goes to part 2 of the challenge, what resources are provided by BETO to help them?
Okay, so the resources that BETO will provide is some guidance that we are developing that shows them how to refine the infographic and prepare it to be for a final version to go onto the hosted website here, and then directions on how to plan out a social media campaign. And so between them they'll have a time period and decide which social media tools they are going to use, if they're going to use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, any of those. And so between the team, then how are they going to reach out to their social networks? They will be provided a link to their infographic, which will drive viewers to a local or to a centralized place where they are housed, and that will allow us to track analytics on the social media and then determine, you know, where we're getting the biggest push with the social media campaign.
Great. So we have another question here. When are the infographics due?
Yeah, that's a great question we needed to add to this webinar. I apologize. October 30th is our target date for that, and then we're pushing to have a response back to students within a week or so, and then from that point they will receive the information on how to go forward or to move their infographics into step 2.
Okay. Is there a particular start date?
Start date is anytime now, I realize we're kind of early in the semester and it may not fit exactly in with the curriculum that teachers have planned, and So we appreciate you working with us a little bit. As we talked to teachers about this, it was expected this was about a 2-week project, and that was maybe some introduction in class, and then students could work on it a few hours on their own outside of class as teams. And so as soon as you feel like you have the materials you need, go ahead and start. And it's the only part that really has a fixed beginning and end is the actual social media campaign, and we will provide more information about that date at a later time.
And if I could just add to that, Leslie, we designed this challenge to be something where educators and teachers can take this and sort of put it in their curriculum where they fit best. So we obviously want you to keep in mind the submission deadline and when the media campaign period is, but we want to leave everything else open to you to fit it how it best fits your curriculum and your schedule.
Yeah, that's a great way to word that.
So there's another question here. When should we start the research project? So I think that kind of aligns with the previous question we just had, and where it's really up to you as the educator.
Agreed.
Can we access all the materials on the website?
Okay, the materials are in draft form right now, and so they are being provided to the participating teachers directly by email, just because we assume that there will be some things that we need to refine a little bit as you go through this. Zach, are there particular materials you think we can have up on the site? I know we do have some a number of videos coming that teachers can use with students or students can access directly.
Right, so that is something that we have been looking into, putting all of the resources on the website and making them very available to all educators, and that is absolutely certain in the future. I think we are still discussing this as far as version controls with. We'd like your feedback on the resources we provide, and so there is a question about version history and sort of having multiple versions of the documents out there and how it might confuse teachers if they have an older version based on however we update it for the national release. So that's something I think that we were discussing, having the beta resources on the web or not, but I think you guys will definitely be the first people to know.
Exactly.
So another question here, how many teachers are participating in the beta run? And Leslie, if I may, we do have 50 teachers that have signed up for the beta test, and we didn't really want to close the doors off, so we do have another 15 additional teachers that were interested. They didn't fully commit, so around that number.
Yeah, for the beta run, our target was to have 50 teachers, and then hopefully 25 of those or we would average 25 teachers with 2 to 4 student teams infographics submitted, and that should give us a good cross-section to gather information from, so that when we do this official launch, then we will really be pushing it out via multiple channels and hopefully then we have maybe a couple hundred or more teachers participating.
So we have one more question here, pretty simple question. I think, can we have the slides to be shown to the students?
Absolutely. We will have the slides available for you with the notes at the bottom. We also have 2 versions of a short documentary video about Bioenergy. We're sending links for those. One is just under 5 minutes and the other is about 15 minutes, and you can use those as you wish in the classroom.
Great. Well, I don't see any further questions. Maybe we'll give it one more minute here. So if you do have any questions you'd really like to ask, now is the time, but we will post all of these questions and answers somewhere so they're open to educators that didn't get to attend the webinar. But we'll give it another minute here, see if anyone else has any questions. So I see one question here. When should we anticipate receiving them? And does that mean the slides? Let's see here. Correct. So the slides. Leslie?
Our intention was to send out a response or a thank you email tomorrow with copies of the slides in there. So you should receive those tomorrow. The actual recording of the video may take a little bit more time to have that available, but that we intend to have available as well so that it could just be played in from beginning to end.
Okay. So someone's asking, can we provide a little more info about infographics? Looks like they're a little vague about it.
Okay. As part of the package, Zach, could we go to that page of the virtual toolkit?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have some image resources and some examples of infographics that are in addition to those in the slides. And basically, let's go ahead and pull up one of those. And these are, these are by trained graphic artists, and so we don't expect necessarily the same quality, but the idea, like this one, warding off energy waste, it was a Halloween themed one, but they've identified ways throughout a home that you could focus on reducing energy consumption that are related to things that occur in the fall and winter. Let's show another one, Zach. Okay, this one displays more, it's just more a graphical display of data, which is probably a little more like what we would be, students could be putting together. But when they do this research, they do a research project, and then they come up with some way they're responding to the prompt and display that graphically. And so you'll notice this is very image-rich. America is one of the largest, fastest growing markets for wind power in the developing world, and then just show us in a visual way what the wind generation capacity is. And so this would be something you could do a similar kind of study on bioenergy. What do they have at the bottom of that one, Zach? Let's scroll down on that one. Okay, and then just some of the other kind of talking points or very number-driven information that's relevant to the question.
And have we touched on the infographic development guide that we're working on producing?
We just mentioned it. We haven't shown any part of that. We do have guidelines about developing that. So that's a really good point of how familiar will students and teachers be with infographics.
All right, so I hope that fully answers your question. And if you do need more information, like we said, feel free to reach out to us. Send us an email, and we'll definitely get back to you. Searching for other questions. I think that might be it, though. So here we have, is there a size limit for the infographics?
I think we've limited those to 8.5 by 10, so they fit on, or 8.5 by 11, so they fit on a regular printer-sized paper.
Yeah, I think you're correct on that, Leslie.
Yeah, some of the examples that they will see may be longer than that, and so really they are just, we want to keep them very tightly focused in just a few areas, and we don't want this to be a whole semester research requirement. We really do want it to be something that they can do in a couple of weeks.
And I think from our side of things, this is another thing that you as educators can provide feedback on, and maybe let us know if that was on point, or asking that was ridiculous, or you know, sort of give us some input on that as we go.
Yeah, part of what we will send tomorrow with the slides is the guidance and examples that we do have together for the infographics. We actually have another partner who's developing something that's highly outward faced for that, but we do have those guidelines. We'll make sure that you have tomorrow. Okay, do we have anything else?
One question here, 8 feet by 8 inches or 11 feet by 11 inches? I think that's supposed to be 11 or 8.5 by 11
inches.
Yeah, inches.
And actually it can go either way. It can be either portrait or landscape. Okay, Zach, why don't we do a last call?
All right. Sounds good. We'll give it a couple seconds here, and then we'll close up. All right. We'll close the questions for now. Remember, you can always reach us by going to the website and looking at our emails and sending us a message.
We'll be reaching out to you regularly as well. Really look forward to your input in refining the data version, and also just to get this in front of students and get them thinking about this in a fun way. We're looking forward to this beta activity. If you have other instructors that you think might be interested in participating, please encourage them to contact us, pass this or share the information that we're providing you to them, and then we'll be ready for a nice big national launch in the near future. Thank you all for being here.